turn the valve and launch the operations of the Keystone Pipeline.
An ambitious pipeline is firing off a war of opinions. A $7 billion project to transport 800,000 barrels of tar sands oil a day from Canada down to the Gulf Coast. Phase 1 of the Keystone project from Alberta, Canada to halfway through the U.S. has been constructed, with almost every mile built met with protest.
TransCanada said that they expected 11 spills over a 50-year period. In its first year, it had over 35 spills.
The Keystone XL, a major extension of the pipeline, is causing a stir, while the Obama administration debates its pros and cons before giving it a final go-ahead or halting construction. While those pushing the project ahead say it will create more jobs, a largely publicized Cornell study found that the project would kill more jobs than it would provide.
The argument that, 20,000 jobs are going to be created just isn't true. When the State Department used TransCanada's own numbers for, looking at job creation, they found that about 2,500 to 4,600 jobs might be created by the pipeline. And these are, temporary construction jobs. The number of permanent jobs that would be created by building the pipeline are around 50 in the United States.
Professor Skinner, who worked on the study, says there was another promise of several thousand extra manufacturing jobs in the U.S., but in reality, the majority of the pipe itself is being built in India. She says the negative economic and employment complications have also been met with a blind eye, such as the 600,000 people employed in the agricultural sector in the way of the pipeline, whose jobs are likely to be affected.
If you look at the 6 states that the pipeline goes through, 80% of the economies in those states are based on agriculture, ranching, and tourism. And all of, tourism like fishing, right? Like kayaking, canoeing, things that rely on there being clean water.
But Keystone proponents say it will decrease skyrocketing oil prices and make the U.S. less dependent on foreign oil.
Something America really needs: a reliable, stable source of energy.
It's tempting to get wrapped up in the turbulence of markets and oil and gas prices, but I think we also have to remember the turbulence of what's going on right now with the climate. Everywhere we look, there's this mounting evidence of climate change. At the end of the day, there are no jobs on a dead planet.
Canada has vast reserves of tar sands oil. Environmentalists say its extraction devastates ecosystems and uses up too much water. There are plenty of oil and gas pipelines in the U.S., but very few that carry this particular type of oil. Tar sands oil is argued to be particularly toxic to the environment, being lower grade than regular oil, dirtier and more complicated to produce and transport, making Keystone an enormous hazard for the environment, according to the project's opponents.
If we burn that oil, we've really got no chance of maintaining a stable ecosystem and biosphere with the climate that we've become accustomed to over the last 10,000 years of human civilization.
Tens of thousands of protesters who also support this opinion rallied in the largest climate change protest the U.S. has ever seen last month.
It devastates me to know what is being done to my country, and that now we're trying to export our filth into another country and damage more people and more earth.
Environmental activists say to prevent global warming, oil needs to be kept in the ground and not used to produce energy.
We only have one sustainable life planet, you know what I mean? And we should all just be aware and do something to make a difference.
While concerns over the potential environmental impact Keystone XL could have reached an all-time high, a recent 2,000-page State Department report says the pipeline could, but should not, be a real threat to the environment. Barack Obama is supposed to announce his final decision on the project in the months to come, but analysts are concerned that corporate influence over Washington is likely to steer this decision away from what's simply better for the environment and the people who depend on it. Anastasia Churkina, RT, New York.